I am not the person to give keynote speeches. Definitely not, and I don't have a prepared speech as well. But Albab Bhai asked me to talk about agility and transformation. That's the topic. I think the one word that comes to my mind is about agility is it's a mindset, your ability to respond to change. And change is something that we all need to adapt to. Change has been always there. Change is coming much faster these days. But if you look at our ability as a nation and as a people living in this part of the world, our ability to adjust to change, or our agility and our ability to transform, has been there historically. The reason is we live in a largest delta of the world. Our rivers run through our lives, and it changes our landscape every single year. If you go back to the history, you will find many people who live in the riverine areas, their entire livelihood has been changed, and they learn to adapt. And that is very much prevalent. If you look through our history, you will find that this nation has been significantly agile to transform and actually move on. Now, this change doesn't often happen just because we want it. It happens because certain things around us changes. And most of the time it is due to nature. Some of the time it is political. Some of the time it is due to war. And those changes actually create a problem or an opportunity. It's the lens that you look at it with. If you look at the COVID right now, that has been the biggest change agent in the last 2 years. If you look at it with the lens of a problem or a challenge, then you deal with it with that approach. If you look at it from an opportunity lens, then you actually deal with it exactly with that mindset. So I think our ability to transform with agility is the topic of discussion today. And the main thing I want to talk about is it's the perspective. If you have the right perspective on any challenge, any change that actually happens, then you can transform at the right way. And agility is the speed, how fast you actually respond to that. One thing I would just mention about here, about this journey, is that first of all, we need to understand our customers for whom we exist. If you are absolutely clear about who you want to satisfy the most, then you know exactly which path and what to do. And you understand the need that is changing in your consumer's mind. We all have these phones these days in our hand. It's called, I have an Apple, somebody has a Samsung. It used to be BlackBerry, almost everybody in this room, not too long ago. But this organization being at the pinnacle of its success, I think the pinnacle of its success was when Barack Obama actually wanted and showed off a BlackBerry. And with his tenure of 8 years, this company completely got lost. Why? Because they did not sense the need to change. They did not see the signs and the signals, and they did not read their competition. So their change actually came from competition. It wasn't any natural calamity, any change in the society, nothing like that. So first of all, we need to understand who are we trying to satisfy and why we are trying to transform. The reason why needs to be very, very clear. Second of all is, I think the previous panel discussed a lot about it. The people within your organization, if you do not have the right mindset of transformation and agility and speed, then no matter how much you try, you will never transform. You have to make the right call when you're recruiting, when you're grooming your talent, and at the same time, you have to part with people who do not align with your vision as an organization. If you do not do that rigorously, you're not fit to transform. You're not fit to respond to the agility and that is required. Third of all, I would say the financing flexibility. If you are very much rigid with your finances, you know where you are stuck with certain investments and you don't have the fluidity. We often have functional budgets in our organizations. There's nothing called functional budget in a situation of change and agility. You need to be able to move the fund along and transform very quickly to the need to the market, need of the society that is demanded of you. And most important of all is how you're structured. Are you structured for flexibility or are you very, very much rigidly structured? So all these are elements to think about before even if you embark on the idea of transformation and agility. This COVID has taught us many things, but if you now actually would be looking at the balance sheet, the results, COVID, in my hope, I'm an optimist, will be subsiding slowly into the next year, and the water will recede, and you'll see the results now. So study those organizations who have performed much better than anyone else in the last 2 years of pandemic, and then try to understand why they did well. That will be the biggest learning in terms of transformation and agility that you can find. Real life examples. All of you may think, well, difficult times, pharmaceuticals, given for granted, they will do well. But look beneath, not all pharmaceuticals have done well. If you look at the telecom industries, people would be telling that, oh, everybody is using more data, technology and all that because working from home. Go and talk with my friends in the telecom industry, they would tell you a very different story. But there is a massive change. People did not call much, but they use more data. Data is not necessarily more profitable. But that is a change that is unstoppable. It is coming. Think about how many times you actually use WhatsApp versus a phone call. It's already happening. But that is a change that industry needs to adapt to. But that probably got fast-tracked during this COVID time. So what I'm trying to say here is it's not only the opportunity that everybody can equally utilize, it's the organizational mindset who can adapt. You actually heard in the previous session, Sufyan Bhai was talking about, they changed their working time. They figured out at Fajr Waqt actually is the time when they can actually move and shift stuff. And they changed it. That is an agility of that organization to be able to do that, to transform themselves and seize on the opportunity. The similar thing may not have happened in a competitive company who did not have that mindset, that people, that thinking ability, and could not respond to the change. So before I close, my simple message to all of us, and including myself, is first question for us to understand is, do we know what changes are happening all around us? Or change is coming as a surprise? Are we scanning the environment much closely and trying to understand our customer very, very well? Just think about if you are to organize an event like this for your most best friend, you would be designing it to the best of his or her liking. But if a stranger is asked to do that, he or she would design it thinking as a very vanilla option. The difference is knowing your customer, knowing who you are trying to do the business for, knowing why you exist. If you know that, rest is easy. Rest is your ability and your will to actually transform. Thank you very much, Albab Bhai, for bringing me here and giving me the tough opportunity to actually give a speech in front of my teacher, which is very humbling as well. I hope I have done enough. Thank you very much.